Hi everybody, I'm Dr. John Douillard and welcome to LifeSpa.com, where we prove the ancient medical wisdom of Ayurveda with modern science. And today I want to talk about how athletes can get into the zone on a regular basis. And I wrote a pretty comprehensive article about all the science behind this. And when I was in India back in 1986, I learned about nose breathing versus mouth breathing. And when I came back in the early 1990s, I actually started doing studies and published studies in the International Journal of Neuroscience comparing nose breathing to mouth breathing during exercise. And I was fascinated by this runner's high zone experience because I had an experience when I was a triathlete back in the early 1980s when I was in chiropractic college in LA and I was training for an Ironman, and I went to an Ayurvedic lecture, which was the first time I ever heard of the word Ayurveda. And they were talking about Ayurveda and yoga and breathing and all this and meditation. And I went up afterwards and I asked the doctor, I said, what do you think about doing an Ironman triathlon from the Ayurvedic perspective? And he looked at me like, what is an Ironman? And I said, well, Ironman is a 2.5 mile swim in the ocean, a 112 mile bike ride, 26-mile run. And he looked at me and he said, why do you do that? And I was like, never really thought about that. I just did it because I could and I loved it. And so I kind of hemmed and hawed, and he kind of looked at me like I was kind of an idiot. And he said, do you meditate? And I said, yep, I do, absolutely. And he goes, do you sleep when you meditate? I go, deeply. It's an amazing sleep. I meditate, conk out. I wake up so refreshed. It feels really good. Then he looked at me again like I was kind of an idiot and said, you know, meditation is different than sleep. Meditation, you're supposed to be not sleeping and conked out. You're supposed to be restfully alert. It's kind of a eye of the hurricanes thing where you have activity and calm coexisting, right? You're resting, the nervous system's calm, but you're alert at the same time. And she said, you are sleeping in your meditation because you're exhausted. So you're probably way overtrained, or you should stop doing that. I said, well, what if I just meditated more and I could not fall asleep in my meditation? Would all this crazy exercise be good for me? And he said, sure, get out of here, kind of a thing. But I took that to heart and I started exercising less and training less and meditating more. I started going to weekend meditation retreats. I went on a 2-week meditation retreat. And I meditated, yoga, breathe, meditated, yoga, breathe, meditated, yoga, breathe. No exercise whatsoever for 2 solid weeks, which was really a total, departure from anything that I had been doing for years. And when I came back from that, I was shot out of a cannon. I was in a runner's high zone state, not only when I was training, but when I was I was doing my clinical internship, I was just in the zone there. I was in the zone running, and I started competing at a significantly higher level. I started placing in my age group, coming in top 10 or 15 in many events. I went from being a mediocre, sort of okay, wannabe triathlete to being a, competitive triathlete. Never the best or anything, but I was competitive. All my friends thought I was on steroids or I got a new bike. They knew something. Some of them learned to meditate when I told them what happened. Because they just were blown away because they knew what I used to do, and now what I'm doing was so dramatically different. So that lasted for about 2 or 3 months, and then it sort of disappeared. And I wanted to get it back and learn more about it, so that's why I ended up studying Ayurveda more deeply, ended up going to India in 1986, ended up living there for 1.5 years, studying their system, and came back and wrote my book, Body, Mind, Sport, published research on nose breathing versus mouth breathing and exercise. And that's how it all got started for me. And I invite you to read this article at LifeSpa.com about how to get into the zone. And I'll share with you how to do that. The way we want to do it is we want to breathe through our nose, not our mouth, obviously. And as you take and I love to start out with some sun salutations where you get as you're doing these flexion and extension postures, you're actually getting an abdominal contraction during full exhalation. And as you breathe in, you're bending into extension where you're opening up the rib cage and your rib cage is going up and back. But as you're breathing in, your diaphragm is going down and you're breaking up the scar tissue between your rib cage and your diaphragm, creating a level of elasticity in your rib cage that allows your rib cage to not only move up and down, but both laterally as well. I call it sort of calisthenics and yoga for your rib cage, which is critical. And you do that for 5 or 10 minutes with deep nasal breathing during the sun salutation. And in the article, there's links to kind of how to do this and links to videos where you can watch all this happen. Then the next phase is called the resting phase, where you actually start going for a walk slowly, but breathing really deeply in and out through your nose. And as you're breathing deeply in and out through the nose, notice there's a space at the top and at the bottom of each breath. That's what I want you to tune into, is a natural linking of the inhale to the exhale and the exhale to the inhale. Not a fast breath, not a holding of the breath, but just the natural pause that takes place between in and out breath. You're going to do that for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, if you were on a treadmill, you could do this anywhere, but if you're on a treadmill, let's put the treadmill at 2 miles per hour. And after 5 or 10 minutes of doing the really slow walking and deep breathing, getting tuned into that space, then phase 2 is called the listening phase, where you're going to listen to how much exercise is good and how much more can be fight or flight or harmful, potentially. And that's where you would increase the elevation of the treadmill by 1 degree every 15 seconds. And as you're increasing that elevation, the workload is getting harder. And you're going to watch that breath and keep asking yourself, am I breathing with the same space between each breath that I was in the resting phase? And as soon as that space goes from a natural pause between each one to a little bit faster in the direction of a mouth breath emergency, as soon as you see that breath get shorter, slow down, put the treadmill from, let's say, 4 degrees back down to 0, reestablish the long, slow, deep rhythm of the breath, maybe even be taking a longer, deeper breath through the nose, in and out. Once you establish that rhythm again with a space between the breath is back, then you go back up again, 1 degree every 15 seconds. But this time you're going to go to 4 degrees. You're going to still be breathing with the space. 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees. The breath starts to get a little short. You're out of there again. You put the treadmill back to 0 degrees. You're still walking. And when you go back to 0 degrees, now you're going to breathe deeper into the lower lobes of your lungs, creating a more efficient exchange of oxygen in and waste out, because you're breathing into the lower rib cage better, where all the alveoli are, which is where we exchange the blood and the CO2 and the oxygen. And that's a gravity-fed system. So now we're breathing deeper, longer, slower. You have a space reestablished, and now we go faster again. And now you go all the way to 12 degrees before you get short. You zero it out, the treadmill, increase your speed from, say, 2 or 2.5 miles an hour to 3, and then you go through the same process again. And you will prove to yourself that you continue to improve and get better and better and better. When my first book, Body, Mind, Sport, came out in 1994, it finally came out, I did a free class in North Boulder Park for many, many, many years. Finally, I was invited to do the same class in a health club, which I did for many, many years. And we put everybody on a bank of treadmills. So when I would guide people through this workout, and they would all have this amazing experience where they were breathing the same, but they were doing more and more and more work. So we have that eye of the hurricane effect. The bigger the calm, the more powerful the wind. So we're going to watch and create that calm with the sun salutation, with the long, slow breathing, the resting phase, and then we're going to hold on to that calm. As soon as the breath starts going in the direction of an emergency, you're going to bail out. Reestablish that calm, and then get a longer, slower, deeper breath, and then take that with you, and you're going to continue to watch your body create a bigger calm, which supports more powerful winds. And the bigger the calm, the bigger the eye of the storm, the more productive and powerful your winds, which therefore you're allowing that calm to be taken with you into higher levels of exertion. Now, we published studies on that. We found that not only when people did their fight or flight nervous system, instead of going to 100%, which does with normal exercise, huffing and puffing exercise, their sympathetic nervous system only went up 50%. And the parasympathetic rest rebuild nervous system, which normally goes to 0 during exercise, went up 50%. So the two opposite nervous systems were literally coexisting, which is my best race, is my easiest race. It's that restful alertness, that coexistence of opposites. And then we measured their brain waves. We found that when they're mouth breathing, their brain waves are all fight or flight and in beta activity in the brain. And when we had them come back the next day and do the nose breathing workout, same kids, next day, their brain went into a meditative calm. So now we had them in a coherent brain state, which means all parts of the brain doing the same thing, in a meditative alpha brainwave calm, which you get when you meditate. So imagine running in a submaximal exercise. It was 200 watts of resistance on an exercise bike, which is pretty vigorous. Your brain responding to that exertion like if you're in a meditation. Versus the mouth breathers, same kids, next day. Their brains were incoherent, all different parts of the brain were doing something different. The brain was in beta, which is super stress. We measured their perceived exertion. How do you feel while you're doing this? And the mouth breathers were a 10 out of 10, as worst you could feel. The nose breathers, same kids, on average, 4 out of 10. Imagine, right? You're competing. And the guy next to you, his brain is in beta, stressed out, fight or flight is maxed out. You're boosting parasympathetic dominance, a brainwave in a meditative state. Your perception of the exertion is a 4 out of 10. Who's got the competitive advantage? In addition to that, we measured their breath rates, many other things as well. And that when they were mouth breathing, their breath rates on average were 48 breaths per minute. When they came back the next day, did the nose breathing, their breath rates were 14 breaths per minute. 4 breaths, 2 to 3 to 4 breaths per minute slower than most folks sitting in their chair at rest. So that's how you do this kind of 3-phase workout to get you into the zone. And the final phase of this workout is called the performance phase. And the performance phase is when you go into the zone. You're kind of creating the zone along the way, but the zone that we're after, the runner's high, is when you feel that effortlessness, where you're going as fast as you can, but your body's feeling effortless, like my best race is my easiest race. Billie Jean King, who did the foreword to my Body, Mind, Sport book, said I would transport myself beyond the turmoil of the court to a place of total peace and calm, where you're going hard, but you're feeling like I'm at peace and I'm at calm, a calm place, inside. The eye of the storm is there. And so the performance is when you start to go faster and faster and faster, but instead of your breath choosing to go faster and then opening your mouth, your breath rate chooses to become longer and slower and deeper through your nose versus having to shallow breathe and then open up your mouth. So as you're going faster in the listening phase, you'll slip into that performance phase where all of a sudden, within a certain limit of exertion, you can be in that zone where I'm effortless and I'm breathing longer, slower, and deeper, and I'm pushing my performance a little bit. And as I push it, my breath gets longer, slower, and deeper. You get to that place, it's addictive. You'll want to go back for more and more and more of that. And it's a rejuvenative experience versus I break my body down to build myself up. And that's the model we have today in Western medicine. Or Western exercise. We have to break the body down to build it up. And it breaks world records. I mean, we're still breaking world records because of that. We take these young athletes and we push them really hard and we train them, we cross-train them, and they become stronger and stronger and stronger. But by the time they're 30 years old, they're retired. They're not breaking records anymore. So for most of us, we're not looking to break world records. We're just trying to make this thing last and stay healthy without all the wear and tear of the break your body down to build yourself up, right? That's what most of us are trying to accomplish. Well, that's where this kind of body, mind, sport, 3-phase workout comes in. And where we're actually taking the body up and saying, I want more, but if I'm gonna go into the fight or flight, break my body down place, I'm gonna say, no, we're not gonna go there. We're gonna restore the calm, create more efficiency, and then take that calm with me into the workout. And yes, my body will allow me to do more. Gotta be a little patient though. And when you see that the limit of what you can do without going into fight or flight, you slow it back down, reset the calm, and then go faster again. And you'll see your body will continue to let you do more and more and more, building that eye of the storm, that internal composure and calm. And the most valuable part of this is that you're using exercise as a model for handling the stress in your life. So if you can do it on a run or a bike ride or a hike, or in the gym, doing cardio, then why can't we take that same calm into our life where we're taking our kids to soccer or going to work or doing all the stuff we have to do in our life? And that's the whole point of this, is to take it off the mat. Go to my website at LifeSpa.com. read the full article. There's other information. There's a 12-minute workout in there as well. There's the treadmill workout in there. I'll put it on there. It's all for free. You can also get up my book if you like, Body, Mind, Sport. While you're at LifeSpa.com, you can type in nasal breathing exercise and read more about all the articles I've written about this, and there's many of them. All the pranayama breathing techniques I've written about, the ancient wisdom, modern science, they're all there. Type in what you like in the search bar and get the information you need. All that information is free. While you're there, sign up for our newsletters. Become a member of our family, and you can get tuned into all this ancient wisdom, modern science. It's super cool. And while you're there, go to our store at LifeSpa.com. You can go to the store from there, or go to store.lifespa.com. Check out all of our organic Ayurvedic herbs, our organic skincare, and all of our cleanse kits and all the knowledge we have there in the store as well, if you're interested. All right, you guys, thanks for listening. Check out this at LifeSpa.com. Hi, everybody. I just want to take a minute and tell you what we do here at LifeSpa.com. I've been in practice now for 40 years, 38 of them have been practicing Ayurvedic medicine full-time. For the last 20 years, I've been writing articles and doing videos on the ancient medical wisdom of Ayurveda with the modern science. If something's been around for 1,000 years, still practiced today, and you have modern science to prove it, boy, I really feel like that's something we should all be taking a look at. And that's what we do at LifeSpa.com, and all that information is for free. So just go to LifeSpa.com and search in your health topic, and you'll get the information, the article that you need, hopefully that will help you. While you're there, check out our Ayurvedic store. You can get there through LifeSpa.com, or go to store.lifespa.com. And there we have all of our organic Ayurvedic herbs, our organic skincare line, more books, tapes, knowledge that we give you is all there at our store. All of our cleansing kits are there in our store. All of our herbs are whole herbs with the natural occurring microbiome, the way it came out of the soil. And that's critically important, because if I took the bugs out of you, you'd be completely different. We take the bugs away from a plant, like sterilizing, making an extract, or spraying your food with pesticides, you lose significant benefit of that plant. And that's why we use the whole plant with the natural occurring microbiome. So check us out, learn more about what we're doing here at LifeSpa.com, and we'll see you again.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at LifeSpa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.